Hello, everyone. I'm Rip from the Dutton Ranch, and this is
Captain Jack Sparrow.
perfect timing. Well, I hope you guys are having a good week so far. We're going to do our
Lord God, give us rain and a little luck, and we'll do the rest.
exactly, amen.
Who wins in a fight? Rip versus Captain Jack Sparrow.
I'll take you to the train station.
I think if Rip gets his hands on him, he probably tunes him up. But I
That
think,
little foo-foo guy, that's your plan?
yeah, but I think Captain Jack is pretty good at making a run for it. So
He is. I should have been the captain.
nah, man, you don't have the
No,
beard.
I don't have the beard, though.
Mm-mm.
I got the beard, though. The good-looking beard.
I don't have the energy for you today.
Nope, sure don't.
So off the bat here, obviously we're celebrating Halloween, trying to have a good time. One of the things I thought would be funny is as I was creating our soundboard, I found a whole bunch of Halloween sounds. And for normal people, maybe they just hear Halloween sounds. But for people with sick senses of humor, they may hear something else. So Sean hasn't heard any of these, Rip has not heard any of these sounds. And I just wanted to get his reaction to some of them. So let's see.
Oh, my gosh.
This one
Halloween time.
This one I thought was pretty funny. Let's see your reaction to this one.
Sounds like I'm walking through a marsh.
Is that what you thought it sounded like?
Yeah, exactly.
That was
This is a PG.
That was
this
a
is a
PG
P-
version. Okay.
This is a PG version.
Because you know you thought something different. That is eating flesh.
Okay.
Right, let's see what else we got. Let's see. What does that sound like?
It sounded like someone getting stabbed in the stomach.
Is that the PG version?
That's the PG version.
Okay. All right. That was called Murder 2.
Okay.
Here's another one. What is that one?
I'm not even gonna go on that one.
No? Nothing?
No. That's called Murder 3.
Murder 1, but nice try.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Those were the ones that really had me laughing when I listened to them. I was like, "Oh man, I don't know if that sounds like murder."
Giggity, giggity, giggity.
Giddy.
And we do have some fun
Love
ones.
some Quagmire.
We have some fun ones that we'll mix in here. We got this. What is that from?
Pretty much anytime a liberal speaks.
Oh, that was actually a good burn. Cheers. Cheers, matey. No, actually, that's from Psycho. Have you ever watched Psycho?
I have watched Psycho.
So my wife and I think that I watched it when I was a kid, but we loved during the October month to watch all sorts of creepy stuff. And we said, you know what? Like, particularly because we watched the Ed Gein special on Netflix. And so for anybody who doesn't know who Ed Gein is, I really wasn't aware of him, but he's like one of the first big serial killers in the US. But he's the guy that inspired Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, like a lot of like your sicker serial killer people. Like this guy was wearing people's skins, all different sorts of crazy stuff. So we were like, you know, we don't really remember the Psycho movies. Let's check them out. And the first one was from 1960, and that's the famous one that Alfred Hitchcock, he's the one that directed it, and it's like considered like cinema masterpiece. And like shockingly, even though it's black and white, we like really enjoyed it. Like it like still holds up. It's brilliant.
Okay,
And
so
then
fun fact.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Fun fact about Psycho, you know, since it was filmed in black and white, what do you think they used during the murder scene in the tub for blood?
I don't know.
Hershey's chocolate syrup.
Really? Because because of the thickness.
Because of the thickness, it was a perfect viscosity to look like blood.
Nice word.
Yeah. Nice. Exactly.
Yeah, so it held up, and then we actually watched the other ones. There's 3 more, and they were actually really good. We were surprised because number 4 is actually where he like calls into like a like it's almost like a true crime radio show, like, and he's like telling them about his history, and so it gives you the whole backstory. And the woman that played the mom, I forget who it was, but I think she was a famous actress from the time. But oh my god, like it was really disturbing. Like the whole backstory they created, it really makes you feel like, wow, this kid, like you get why he's so messed up. It was surprisingly
No,
good.
exactly.
Surprisingly, 2 thumbs up for the Psycho
Very,
franchise.
so I've watched it before, but actually over the past weekend I watched the new version of it,
Yeah. Oh, it's
and
phenomenal.
it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty legit. I mean, I forgot a lot of it, and
You forgot a lot of it?
I forgot a lot of it.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly. I did forget a lot of the storyline. Poor Georgie. I mean, right off the rip.
yeah.
that
Yeah. Right.
He get-
Rib. Cheers.
poor kid.
That's good comedy right there.
He couldn't catch a break.
He couldn't.
Hmm.
No, but no, they did a really good job with those movies. Like, and even number 2 was phenomenal. And I don't know if you know, but they're doing a Netflix show about it now. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
So my understanding
Oh
of it,
yeah,
Welcome to
actually,
Derry.
yeah. I actually did see some previews for
And
that.
my understanding of it is, I believe it's 3 seasons, and I forget the exact timeline, but I think it comes back or comes out of slumber every like 27 years. So it's going to jump back 27 years each time and go through like each time it like, woke up and terrorized Derry.
Yeah,
Looks pretty cool.
those kids should be like 80 on the 4th season.
For those of
Um,
you that don't know, that was Sean's butthole.
Yes, it was. It was definitely that. Um, but Stranger
And
Things.
this is the clock that says that we just got canceled.
But Stranger Things is set to come out for the final season soon.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. That's my show.
Yeah, I
It,
actually,
I think they should have done it over the Halloween time frame, but
yeah.
I guess they have their reasons.
I mean, it's pretty close, right?
I think November.
Eh. But yeah, I agree with you. It would have made sense to like drop the first one like right on Halloween.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's going to be epic. I was talking, actually, I had therapy today, and I had brought up Stranger Things. It's funny, in therapy, they were telling me to like go find like a happy spot, right? Like I need to find this like
And you
calming.
picked Stranger Things.
Oh, I know. Well,
Perfect.
she told me to find like a calming, safe place, and it could be like anything, but it wasn't supposed to have any other people in it. And so I'm like going through my mind, and it's funny. I didn't picture Stranger Things, but I was like, just like a dark room. And she's like, a dark room, and I'm like, yeah, just like no stimuli. And she's like, all right. And then she's like, is there anything else? And I was like, yeah, there's water on the floor.
All right, 11.
Exactly. And that's the funny thing. So then I realized like what I was picturing, and I was like, oh my God, have you seen Stranger Things? And she's like, no. And that sparked a whole other conversation. I was like, all right, let's reverse therapy right now. I'll take the chair, you get on the couch.
That works out perfect.
It was funny though. Yeah. So apparently my safe, happy place is in a dark room with warm water on the floor and just some sounds of drips in the background. That's it.
Are you sure you're not part of the project?
I could be.
Are you
Wouldn't be the
number
first time I've been accused of
are
being a
you
little
number
different.
12?
Maybe I'm 0.
I know no, you're not number 1 because number 1.
No, I'm 0.
Oh, you're 0.
I'm the
Okay.
original. Before
The O
1.
the OG, gotcha. Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Now thinking back in your therapy sessions, what's one of your favorite Halloween memories?
Hmm.
I mean, it could be any time.
Honestly, that's one of like the happier memories from my childhood. Like my mom was awesome about like making sure that we had costumes that were fun, right? Like she loved to have fun with it, and she would make sure that we had whatever it is that we wanted or whatever we were going for that year. And then we were lucky. We grew up in a pretty small town, and she would take us to like different areas of town that were like easy to walk, and we would go around and get candy, man, and we would crush it. So it was a lot of fun. The one that like just stands out in my head is just like a random one of like me being a vampire, like dressing up like Dracula.
Sure.
But it was always a good time. She always made sure we had a lot of fun on Halloween.
Well, I remember, as a kid always having to hustle for the candy. We'd hit up multiple neighborhoods and
Hmm.
you'd have like 2 pillowcases full of candy. And that was back in the day when you actually had to go knock on the door, say trick or treat, and also thank you. Now I've noticed kids aren't knocking on doors, which is probably a good thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Most of the time there's like a bowl of candy or something out, or they're handing out candy out in the driveway instead of having them come to the door.
If I
At
was
least
a
that's how it is
if I was a kid
here.
right now, if that's like the way it's going, where they
Yeah.
just leave out a big thing of candy, then I'm like doing some almost
Soul
like
searching.
no, yeah, some Ocean's
Mhm.
11 type stuff where I'm like, all right, guys, I've come up with the 5 places to put out the biggest things of candy. If we hit them exactly at this time, this is the score we can get. So you're just trying to get like everything in like 5 houses.
So you're telling me the sign that says just take 2 would not work for you.
Savvy.
Savvy. You know what? The parents are typically very respectful of the signs.
Okay.
So it usually is not a big deal, but I have seen some handfuls, being
Yeah.
taken.
And you know
I
what?
think this year, the neighbors next door and everything are gonna just have a table set out, and we're gonna just kind of combine it and let everyone
I think what they
take what
need to
they.
do is just get all of the kids on Ozempic or Mounjaro, and it takes care of itself. They're like, dude, I don't even want one.
I don't even want any of that. I don't
Yeah,
know,
I just
man.
want to go around and say hi to everybody. I don't want any candy.
I don't want to eat the candy either. I just want to go trick or treating. That's just me.
That makes sense.
I mean,
That checks out.
I, I'd like to go knock on some doors and
Vecna?
Vecna. Yeah, that sounds like it. I'd like to go knock on some doors and just hear, aren't you a little old for this? I'd be like, yes, I am.
Mm-hmm. And then like you try to do like a what is it? Trying to think of the proper way to say it, but where you press the button and then ditch,
Ding dong ditch.
ding dong ditch, and then you hear,
Get your fat ass back here.
you know who that is?
Yeah, it's the old man from Family Guy.
Yeah, I think Teddy actually does a pretty mean Herbert.
He does that. We should have him on just doing sound effects.
Whenever, man.
Right in the back, right in the back of you.
Heck yeah, that'd be great. It's right where he
That
wants
would
to
be
be.
great. Yeah, right behind you.
Son, I'm Captain Jack Sparrow. Savvy?
Savvy.
Right. So maybe we should actually adhere to the outline a tiny bit and just not drink and have fun.
I'm not drinking. I'm drinking water.
Oh, excuse me. I'll be the only one
What are you?
drinking.
What are you having?
Rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke. Nice.
I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
Hide the rum. We don't want to burn the rum.
Mm-mm.
Well, let's see here. Where can we go? Where can we go from here? How about some Halloween gratitude? You know,
What are you grateful
Well,
for this Halloween?
I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm having a really good time with my life right now. I got pulled out of a fairly dark place. I mean, not a dark place, it wasn't like, it was emotional and anxiety inducing more than anything. And I'm just thankful to
Was
be
it kind of like
past
where
up.
11 was?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Um, and I'm just thankful that this Halloween that I'm in a good place. I get to hang out with some cool people. Um, hopefully make some of the local or the neighborhood, people happy, just passing out candy and being a part of a community.
That's what's up.
Yep. And I just want everyone to say, if you have kids, be sure that they're safe. Keep an eye on them. I'm not talking about just the obvious things. Keep them out of the road. Don't let them get hit by a car. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and put some lighting on them. So there's going to be a lot of running around. It's definitely on a Friday night.
Yeah, I think that's
Just
really
want
good
everyone,
advice. Yeah.
just want everyone to be safe and seen.
And that's
Be-
like a community effort too. So even the people that don't have
Ex-
kids, but if you're out and about, try to look out for everyone, try to make sure
ex-
that everything's going off without a hitch because, when anybody in our community gets hurt, whether you know it or not, we all take that on.
yeah, we all take it to heart
Yeah.
too. You don't want to see anything bad
So
happening.
yeah, if you can contribute in any way, even if it's the smallest thing, you just happen to be out and notice some kids that are, being a little silly and maybe putting themselves in harm's way, just try to speak up and make sure things are going smooth. It's good advice.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And
Yeah.
sometimes it gets really hectic out there, especially a lot of cars going by, a
Yeah.
lot of
Especially
kids
up in
in the
St.
street.
Augustine, man. God bless you guys. You're
Yeah,
you're busy up there.
exactly. Just look out for people, slow down.
Yeah. Everybody
It's
do
on
their
like
part.
it's on a Friday night this year, like I said, so I'm sure it's going to be super hectic and just keep a vigil eye out. I mean, no one should be in a hurry to go anywhere that night.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, don't drink and drive. I know it's a Friday night and the temptation's there. It's not worth it.
I mean, we're in the age of Uber. And honestly, it's
Exactly.
not worth it even if you gotta walk or pass out somewhere. You're better off than dealing with the consequences of God forbid, putting yourself and or others in harm's way.
It's more about hurting others to me. I mean, I wouldn't want to hurt anyone
Yeah, I think
more than
sometimes
anything.
just reminding people that they could hurt themselves helps because, unfortunately, human beings, we're self-interested creatures. But, yeah, certainly hurting others would be equally as
Well, I'm telling you
awful for me
that
too.
$15 Uber ride is a lot better than the alternatives. I'm a firm believer in Uber these days.
Absolutely. It's just not worth
We
it. It's not
No,
worth it. Even on the small chance that a bad thing happens, it just wrecks your life and whoever else is involved, for
you
sure.
should save your money and be a part of the $11.6 billion worth of Halloween
Yeah,
spending.
and just save your money because we just gave a ton to Argentina, so you wanna be mindful of that, you
Yeah,
know?
we just blew up how many millions of dollars worth of cocaine in the last few weeks?
Allegedly. I'd love
Alle-
to see the
alleg-
due process on that. Come on.
Allegedly, it's maritime law. It's fine.
Sure, sure.
I knew you. I knew you'd like that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
yeah, that's a whole episode right there, man.
The videos are pretty crazy if you haven't watched those yet.
Yeah, no, I have.
Be like, you want to be a drug runner? Fine, we're gonna send a Patriot missile your way.
Yeah, with no due process, no proof, no nothing. That's
Uh,
excellent.
the
That is excellent.
that's
Do you know under what conditions historically we can kill people indiscriminately?
um, I not at liberty to say.
A declaration of war.
Um, yeah, but when was the last actual declaration of war and not just a coup?
You know, I get what you're
You
saying,
know
and
what you know what I'm saying?
well, no, in terms of the dysfunction that we've been rolling with and the increasing power of presidents over time, but is that a good thing?
I didn't say that it was a good thing. I'm just
That's all I'm
telling you
saying.
that
Captain Jack
when was the
Sparrow.
when was the last time that you actually saw a declaration of war?
Yeah. But I think that's the
Um,
problem because if it comes back, you have to remember things like unfold over time, right? So, of course, right now we know very little, and Venezuela is a tough place for us to even get information. Anyways, it's a messed up country. But over time, if we do get some good information that even one of those people, right? Well, I guess you couldn't say one because if you had like one innocent person on a boat, they're not really innocent. But let's say one of those boats, had nothing to do with drug trade, and we indiscriminately just murdered fishermen. Oof, man. That's rough. But hey, time will
I'm
tell.
just, you know, I'm on the fence about that one, but at the same time, like, I don't see why we couldn't. If you're tracking them like you're tracking them, why can't we just go ahead and confiscate instead of sending a $20,000 missile to blow them up?
There is that. It would actually be a lot cheaper to actually go about it that way and prove your point. Like if you can take a
Yeah,
picture with a whole bunch of drugs and say, "Hey, look what we found," which is what, historically our
I see.
military and or police.
I personally see both sides of it. Like I understand the points on both sides, but at the same time, I'm kind of more like let the Coast Guard do what they're gonna do and
Yeah,
seize those.
I don't see the both sides of killing indiscriminately. I feel like that is a bridge too far. That we're supposed to be better than that. And it's way too easy for any president, any administration to start killing people in the name of whatever and just say, no, 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 I'm protecting you guys. Just trust me. Whew. Again, if you were to flip the script, and even though I know Biden didn't know where he is, so the idea that he would choose to bomb anybody indiscriminately, but let's assume that he could, I do not think that you guys would be like, oh yeah, this is chill, you know? But and that's the problem, is that politically it can just be used to prop up your administration and say, "Oh no, no, I'm looking out for you guys, whatever." And what you're doing is like an atrocity, you know?
And I got a serious question. I mean, this is absolutely serious, so you take it to heart.
I feel like that means that it's not going to be at all.
How do you feel about candy corn?
I freaking hate it.
I think
When
that
I was
I'm
a
on the same.
kid, I loved
Hey,
it.
common ground. I hate it too.
When I was a kid, I loved it. But at this point in your life, as you're like, especially you're seeking out health and wellness, I mean, it is just pure unadulterated sugar. Like your system, my system now, if I even had a piece of it, would be like, that's poison.
Yeah, you can't eat that. You
Yeah.
can't eat that paraffin sugar.
Yeah, no, the sweetest thing I can eat. Do you know the strawberry shortcake ice cream? Do you
I
remember
sure
those?
don't.
No,
No.
strawberry crunch fries. Next time you come down, you got to try one because it is
All
like my
right.
one guilty pleasure. That and Reese's, for like sweet stuff.
I will make the journey to South Florida for that.
That's what's up. But yeah, they're really good. They remind me of when I was a kid because it was definitely something like we had in our cafeteria at school. But they're really good. But like that's about my limit. Like candy corn is just pure sugar.
Hey, but
Hey, but
we're eating
easy rip.
30. We're eating 35 million pounds a year of candy corn.
That's, I mean, when you look at our obesity levels, that tracks.
And fun fact, it's not actually made out of corn.
Yeah, I was aware of that. Isn't it
And
isn't it funny that that's what they chose?
well, if you stack them together, they interlock and
No,
they look like corn.
I know.
So
It's funny because it took me until I was older to like. I didn't even think about it when I was a kid, and then when
I just learned that probably a few years ago. I'm
that's
like,
funny. Yeah,
that does make a lot of
I
sense. If
never
you,
even thought of it until I don't know, sometime when
it,
I was an adult, and then I
I
was
was like,
like, huh,
if you stack them right, they actually
yeah.
stack like corn.
Well, yeah, if you were to pull a corn kernel out of the actual cob, that's what they would look like. Yeah.
Exactly. Um. Anyways,
Okay, producer, get on it.
producer, you carving a pumpkin this year?
Actually, yeah, T found this really cool thing.
Of course you are.
Hey, listen, it's more my wife than myself. I'm not into this stuff.
Don't lie. You know you love it.
I'm I'll tell you the one thing I do like about carving pumpkins. I have very good memories growing up of when we would carve pumpkins, we then bake the seeds, and I love baked pumpkin seeds. 100%. That's where I'm at.
I never understood pumpkin seeds. I do like pumpkin seeds,
Mhm.
but are you supposed to eat the whole thing or are you supposed to shell them?
Nope, the whole thing.
I thought so.
Yeah, and if you bake them
But
good, you put some olive oil and a little salt, really really good.
no, don't you have to clean them real good though? Like get all the grime off of them?
Who cares? If you bake them, doesn't matter. Yeah,
Hmm.
but they're really good.
Well, Honestly, I think I'm gonna carve a pumpkin this weekend just because.
But what T found, which is cool, it makes your pumpkins look like they're wearing like a ghost costume. She got this like it's like I think it's like white Play-Doh or something of that nature. But you once you carve your pumpkin,
White paint.
no, it's not paint. It's like Play-Doh.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Because what you do is
Okay.
you put it on top of the pumpkin and then you like form it down around it. So it makes it look like it's wearing like a ghost costume. So like that's what she wants
Okay.
to do this year. You carve the pumpkin and then you put the Play-Doh down over it and then you like cut out the eye holes and everything and the pumpkin looks like it's wearing a ghost costume. So that's her thing this
That's
year.
cool.
I get pumpkin seeds out of it, so I'll do whatever she says. I mean, I love her to death, so I'll do whatever she says anyways.
Are you gonna be making the pumpkin seeds, or is she gonna be making them?
I mean, it's very possible that I'll preheat the oven.
I like preheating ovens too.
Rip, you dirty dog.
Well, it's your lucky day.
I don't know if that was appropriate.
No?
No.
Oh, jackpot.
There you go. Jackpot.
So where are we at?
We are at. We're still on Halloween kindness and gratitude.
I mean, I think we hit Halloween kindness and gratitude pretty hard.
The next segment would be some hot button Q&A.
Which is what we're here to do. So
That's
let's
what
get
we're
it.
here to do. The goal is to foster and understand candid answers, keeping a light and spooky framing.
Whoa.
Scarier than the zombie apocalypse.
All right, let me get into the Halloween. All right, let's do it.
All right, all right. All right, questions covering 2025 diverse issues, emphasizing respectful dialogue. So that means respect me.
You got it, Rip.
All right. So I will start it off with 335 plus mass shootings in 2025. Would you back a federal assault weapons ban to defend the Second Amendment right without limits? And what's your reasoning?
So, Rip, as a liberal who's moved to the South and converted, this is how I would go after this particular issue. I would first ask, what is an assault weapon?
Correct. There is actually no such thing as an
Yeah.
assault weapon.
No, I know that people mean well. So I think what's good to do when you're parsing a difficult issue like this is to actually try to empathize with the other side. So for people that are not gun people, right? So they don't spend time with guns. They kind of just view guns as scary, right? If you're not a gun person and just the entire concept kind of freaks you out because of what it can do, which is fair, give them that. You just have to realize that the whole thing is kind of crazy to them. So it's easy to get caught up in, like, for instance, the idea of an AR-15 and like, well, we should ban those, right? Well, you've really got two things that you're talking about. You're talking about the caliber and the level of devastation that particular caliber can do. And then you're talking about your magazines, which are how many bullets you can hold for a semi-automatic weapon, meaning each time you pull the trigger, you get a bullet. So if we take these two issues as somebody who's more educated now, magazines are just literally plastic things that hold bullets with springs in them. And in this day and age, they are mass produced. They're everywhere. You can order them online, have them shipped to your door, depending on what state you live in. The proliferation of magazines is so big at this point. It's kind of a silly thing. And
Sure.
this is just like weapons in general. There's so many out there already. It's a moot point. And so as a liberal person, this is one of the things that has changed my mind, that there's so many weapons out there. The only intelligent thing you can do at this point is to arm yourself, be comfortable and educated about weapons. And and I get it. I understand that people don't want to live in that world, but that is the world that we live in. So the idea of wishing it away is just not real. So for magazines, I think it's kind of a silly issue. You got states like I think New York and California that will have magazine limits and whatnot, and it's kind of silly because again, they're just little plastic things that hold them. If you went over the state line and you were able to buy one, you go home and like nobody's going to police for that. And I don't know that your average person that is well intending should be penalized for having something like that. Now you get into the caliber round. And I think that there's an increased awareness about this right now, particularly because of Charlie Kirk, which was an awful thing, but it obviously happened in front of all of us. And so people were able to kind of put that mental image into their head of like the devastation of particular rounds, that being a 30-06. But you could certainly say that what an AR-15 uses, which would be a 223 or a 5.56, puts out at a very high level of devastation too. So I think that created a mental image for the public, particularly liberal people that are not gun people, that was just like, oh my God. Um, but
Well,
again,
I will say when you're on the subject of caliber,
yeah,
once you move past the BB gun,
yeah.
caliber really doesn't make a difference. It's all about accuracy at that point because all bullets are devastating
Yeah, and then
with
and then you get
accuracy.
into all different sorts of stuff, whether something is a hollow point and it's going to have that expansion effect when it gets into tissue, or if it's actually like more of a slug where it's just going to penetrate. Regardless, yeah,
Well, let's just put it this way: I don't want to get shot with any gun. I don't care
100%. And I've
what it
watched.
is.
I actually enjoy educating myself on this, and I mean, I watched something recently that showed that a 22 can be pretty devastating, even out to 400 yards, depending on
Yeah.
where it hits. So, regardless, I get the knee jerk reaction that people want to have, but the scary part is that now that there are so many weapons out there, do you really want to limit somebody to have less than somebody else? Eh, and from a freedom standpoint, does that make sense? Like if your intention is that, or your belief is that most people are well-meaning people, right?
Well, you got to also remember when the Second Amendment was created, all guns were assault weapons.
Fair enough. Absolutely. Yeah.
Assault weapons, which there is
Yeah.
no such thing as an assault weapon per
Yeah.
se,
Yeah.
at least not in my head. And it is to defend yourself against enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yeah.
This was an unalienable right written to so that people were not persecuted and taken advantage of, basically, or they
Sure.
had the right to defend themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And as funny as it sounds, particularly when you come at it from that point, I know that as a liberal person who has been in liberal circles, that we would kind of laugh at the idea that you're going to be able to hold off the federal government if they choose to come down on you.
Who's saying anything about holding off the federal government? I'm
Well, no,
I'm
no.
in it for the zombie apocalypse.
Well, yeah, and that's one aspect, but I know that another aspect of that, right, is tyranny. So if you have a
Sure.
tyrannical government, and there's a gentleman, Coleon Noir, who's online, who is a pro-gun guy, but I believe he's also a lawyer, and he's actually really intelligent. I like the way that he parses stuff, and he's laid out that surprisingly, like look at Afghanistan, right? These are people that do not have the weaponry that we have. Um, they don't have the resources that we have, but because they had their area that they knew better than us, they were able to hold off the most powerful military in the world. And
Yeah, they were
so,
also very entrenched in the mountains and cave
yes,
systems
well,
as
but
well.
that's what I mean is they knew their geography better than anybody. And yes, they did have some
Yeah.
natural advantages to knowing that geography. But regardless, one of the things that Coleon Noir brings up is that you would be surprised that a well-armed citizenry could hold off a government that was trying to be oppressive. That you'd be surprised. It wouldn't take as much as you think.
You know why Japan attacked Pearl Harbor versus the mainland United States, correct?
I actually
Do you
do
know?
not. I do not.
So one of the reasons is because most Americans at that time owned guns, and they knew that boots on the ground in the on the mainland would pose a problem.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's super interesting. And so that's another thing that even when you look at a foreign invasion, right? The idea that the citizens could be well armed. So
Yeah, you'd be in a lot of trouble, especially with some of the hunters here
mhm,
that'll sit up in a tree for 8 hours waiting for an animal to come by.
yeah.
You know,
The,
I think that they would have a field day with a lot of people.
this is what I would say going forward to try to bring people together. For conservative people and or any other pro-gun people, I would say be kind to the people that are anti-gun or pro-gun regulation, all these different things. These people, being somebody who was one of these people, are not bad people. They don't want to take away your rights. They don't want anything negative for you. Honestly, they're just grieving and upset about the idea that they live in a world where it's necessary. And the irony is that as I've talked to a lot of conservative and or pro-gun people, they're not exactly thrilled that they need to live in a, or they feel that they're in a world where they need that either.
No,
So you're
exactly.
basically you've got two different kinds of people that are kind of wrestling with the same issue. Some people are just a little further along in the evolution of saying, well, we do live in this world, so unfortunately this is, you know, uh maybe one of the only ways that you can kind of ensure your safety and make sure that you're educated, God forbid things get a little out of hand. So be kind to those people. And I would say for the people that are liberal and or, anti-gun, understand that people that are pro-gun aren't like these lunatics that just get their rocks off by having weapons and shooting bullets. For them, for the most part, it's about taking their life into their own hands and maybe not having to rely on some kind of entity out there, whether it be law enforcement or whoever, that they genuinely mean well. They just know that unfortunately weapons may be needed at certain points, and it could be because a hurricane hits and power grid goes down and opportunistic people might do bad things. It's not always like this idea that they're gonna, come after you. It's just that they want to be prepared.
Let's also say that there's a lot of bad people out there, a
Sure,
lot of evil,
absolutely.
and someone's breaking in your house at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
The average response time for the police department is 7 minutes.
right.
A lot of bad things can happen in 7 minutes,
Yep,
and I will not ever be in that situation.
absolutely.
And that's where my head's at.
And with that being said, as somebody who has a firearm and wants to be able to defend myself, God forbid somebody comes in our house, I'm not looking to shoot anybody. We've
Yeah.
already talked about this, but if I hear a window break, I'm grabbing my firearm, I'm pointing it at our bedroom door, and I'm yelling out, "We're armed. We're calling the police. Get out of our house." That's it. So again, I think that people in their heads have this.
Take the dogs.
Yeah, take the dogs. No way. No way. That's a death sentence. I'll chase you for that. That turns into some kind of crazy movie if you try to mess with the dogs. But no, for real, like people have in their heads that most conservatives and or pro gun people think that they're dirty Harry and they're gonna just, take people down. Again, most people aren't like that. They're very rational about the likelihood of a bad outcome and just want to be able to have, okay, I have force here, I'm pointing it at my door, get out of my house, I'm calling the police. And God forbid somebody opens that door, you at least have the ability to try and fend them off. That's it. So
Well,
most people are
yeah,
very rational about it.
no dirty Harry style, because in my head that doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is because in a gunfight there's typically always going to be a loser.
Sure.
And
And a lot of times
let
you're both gonna end up being losers because, I mean,
yeah,
they start flying
exactly.
and hitting things and so but that's the thing is I can tell you as somebody that's come from areas that are less gun friendly, there is this idea that, like, everybody down here is Yosemite Sam, right? And they're just popping them off everywhere and it's just no big deal. It's not like that. People are very thoughtful about the way that they're using firearms. and the purposes for their firearms and so on and so forth. And so I just think that if each side gives each other a little grace, again, liberal people and or anti-gun people are not bad people. They just think it sucks that we live in a world where it's necessary. And you know what? The rest of us probably agree with them. But with that being said, we're in a country with the most proliferation of weapons ever. And so what are you going to do? You know, it's just like when you talk about macro policy and different nuclear countries, right? And you just know that, okay, we don't really mess with other nuclear countries. You look at Ukraine, we're kind of having a proxy war with Russia through Ukraine. We won't put boots on the ground because that's another nuclear country. We don't want to have that direct conflict and amp it up, but we'll kind of do like the back channel stuff of funding them. But it's all because of mutually assured destruction, and it's just unfortunately the way life is. Sucks, but that's the way it is. Man,
So how about we get it?
that was a really
How
good
about we get
discussion
it?
about that, though.
That wasn't bad at all. How about some economic inequality?
Sure. So
All
what
right,
do you got specifically?
so the top 1% own 32% of the wealth. Should there be a wealth tax to redistribute resources, or does that stifle economic freedom?
It's a really good question, and I am going to link people to Tom Bellew, who I've asked Sean to watch 5 million times. He never will. Someday, when he's sick or something and just is bored, he'll watch it. But anyways, Tom Bellew talks about this a lot, how everything is related back to the economy, and in particular, he references Ray Dalio, who is one of the most successful hedge fund bankers ever. And basically, Ray Dalio has looked back at history and how we need to get out of a mess like this. And the only way that you get out of it is what he calls a beautiful deleveraging. And so I think it's like four different levers that you have to pull. So one is austerity. So you do have to do government cutting and make some tough choices there. There is another one where you do have to increase taxes on the wealthier people and do some wealth redistribution, but again, very carefully. The other two levers off the top of my head. There is a money printing. Now we know that money printing is inflationary, but in this particular aspect, it's like just the minimum that you need to do to kind of work your way out of the mess. And then there's a fourth lever that I don't know off the top of my head. But it's a very, very tough place that we're in because historically, when you hit that 130% of debt to GDP in a country, all hell breaks loose and there's usually violence. The only country that's managed to avoid that is Japan, but they have very specific um, cultural reasons that they were able to avoid it. Right? They're a much smaller country. They have a very specific culture. We are a diverse melting pot. We've got a ton of weapons. There's a whole bunch of things against us in a scenario like that. So we do need people to wake up and realize that deficit spending is the worst thing possible. So anytime, regardless, Republican, Democrat, if they're talking about spending money, unfortunately, Big Beautiful Bill is a perfect example of this. Spending money that we don't have, we're just going to print it. It's a nightmare because it's just going to increase inflation. And for everyone out there who's seen home prices go up like crazy, who knows that when you go to the grocery store, it costs a lot more money. All of those things are because they're printing more money, they're inflating our currency, and you're getting less out of your money.
You don't think that hyperinflation might be a strategy to usher in digital currencies?
Listen, behind the scenes, I don't doubt any kind of crazy stuff that they're doing, but none of it is for our benefit. You know, I think that right now what you're seeing, even if you want to go to the digital currency route, they're doing a lot of shady stuff behind the scenes. And the people that are monopolizing the digital currencies are all the wealthy already. And
Correct.
yeah, so again, you're going to have a massive inflationary effect even to try to break into that because they've already bought it all up.
So you know that I'm all for capitalism. Make your money,
I have heard
do
that.
your thing, do
I've
your thing.
heard from, if I remember back to the first episode, you are definitely conservative.
Yep. You know what? Make your money, but even I can admit that trickle down economics does
Yeah.
not work because it just doesn't. So what we're having and I can admit this is we're having a disparity between the classes. So you're going to have your elites, and then you're going to have your lower class, and the gap between them are vast, are being they're separating exponentially, and then you're finding that the middle class is drying up, and basically everything's on the middle class as far as taxes, financial burdens, and you're gonna see a lot of the financial or the middle class. You're gonna end up drying up essentially,
Yeah.
and then that economic disparity is going to be monstrous.
And then unfortunately, what do people do? Because when people are desperate and they have to feed their families, it's the haves and have nots. It's not even about who you are, what political party you are, anything. It's people that need and people that have.
Exactly. I don't, I'm never going to claim to have the solution.
Yeah.
But that is just something that the writing's on the wall. I mean, you see it at the grocery store, you see it at the gas station, you see it in your taxes,
I'd like to get your
even though
sorry, go ahead.
I already know where this is going,
Well, maybe.
even
I'd
though,
like to get your thought on it because Tom Bellew, I like the way he breaks it down specifically in that, and again, I'm paraphrasing, but I believe I have this statistic right that 10% of people own 95% of the assets. And so when we say assets, we're talking about stocks, we're talking about real estate. And the
correct.
problem is that assets are the only way to guard against inflation. So if you have a house like Sean and I do, you've seen your house have this crazy value inflation over the last 5 to 10 years, right? So that kind of guards against inflation because even though we spent what we did at the time, we now have this thing that's worth 2.5, maybe three times what it was before. And so we've had this inflation, but we kind of have this buffer. Whereas people, particularly young people,
I will tell you this: owning a
Mhm.
house, and I mean, you can call me crazy on this. Owning a house is not an asset; it is actually a liability.
Y-
When you take into the consideration how much interest you're paying,
sure.
your property taxes, your insurance, your maintenance, you are not beating inflation by owning a house. What you're doing, you're
I
not.
would love to like parse that out. I'm not calling you wrong, but I would love to
Yeah.
parse it out just because when you look like that may have been true 20 years ago when if you bought a house for 250 and 10 years later it's worth 300, maybe that's true.
Now the difference is when I have an interest rate like what I have below the inflation rate.
Right. Right.
Yes, that is correct. But if you're over 4 or 5%, it is not an asset at
Well,
that
no, so
point.
if you're talking about like somebody buying a house in this market right now
Yeah.
with the inflation of all the assets as they have been, right? Like right now, like even if you buy gold, everyone knows that gold's going nuts because people are hedging against the economy, but you're buying it at an all-time high. So if you buy gold right now, are you guarded from inflation? Probably not in the next 5 years because it's probably going to go down. Now,
Actually,
if you hold it for 20,
actually,
30 years,
my take on that is if you're going to buy a commodity, silver is probably the commodity because even at $50 an ounce, what it's currently at
mhm,
right now, it still has a lot of room to go up.
yeah, yeah, but
Um,
so the what I was trying to say, the point being though, what Tom Bilyeu always talks about is that for people in our midlives right now, right in our 40s, we were lucky enough that we were able to purchase things, get some inflationary buffers, but now young people can't. So they're caught in it. You're
no.
paying apartment, you're paying for an inflationary apartment, right? So you're paying 2,000, 2,500 for an apartment. It's insane. I remember I had an apartment in Seaside Heights, New Jersey, right? One of the party capitals of the United States, right on the ocean. And I paid $600 for myself. $600. And I'm pretty sure my sister and her boyfriend in St. Augustine are paying north of 2,000 for an apartment.
Easily,
Yeah,
if it's two bedroom.
so that's insane, and you're not getting any return, right? So this is not an investment at all. This is just money in the wind. So that's the
But
problem.
you're also not paying $10,000 a year in interest. You're
Absolutely
also not paying for maintenance.
correct.
You're also not paying property taxes, which,
Yeah, well,
um,
I will cede to you that if you buy at the height of the market right now, you're probably not guarded against inflation for sure because you're buying at peak market. But when you look at like when we bought versus where we are now, you can definitely see why we're buffered.
No, I
And
agree on that.
the only reason I bring up the home is that in particular Tom Bilyeu likes to point out that it's the only asset that your average person understands, right? Like if you want to understand gold, silver, even your base level investments, you got to do some legwork, right? You got to have a little bit of a financial mind, and not only that, be able to kind of read the tea leaves. So there's work that goes into it. Most people in general just understand conceptually the house as an asset, though. And the fact that particularly young people are coming in to this economy and really have little to no ability to get into a house is
How do you
insane.
how do you feel about the proposal to do away with property taxes and going to um, a consumption tax?
I'm always wary of the idea of a consumption tax just because it indiscriminately hits the poorer and middle class harder. So I
Of
am
course,
wary of that.
because the the upper class typically don't spend a whole lot of money, or they don't spend as
Well,
much.
they spend the same. Like
They spend about the
we
same.
all use the same amount of
Yeah,
toilet paper. We buy roughly the same amount of food. So if you're a person that has a $1.5 million house and you pay 40, 50 grand worth of property taxes a year, and now we're going to wipe that clear, and I'm only paying $2,000 property taxes a year, and we're going to wipe that clear. Well, we got to make that money up. And so who's going to pay for it? And again, this is where I want people to wake up. This is not a red blue issue. This is a have and have nots issue. And when I say have and have nots, that does not mean that people aren't doing their part. They're not working hard. They're not trying to do what they can and being good American citizens that are doing everything they can for their communities, their country, yada, yada, yada. We have created a system, and increasingly when you talk about things like getting away with proper or doing away with property tax, where we are hitting these people harder. What do people think is gonna happen when people feel like they can't do it anymore? What is the only natural outcome of that? You know, and this is where the insanity is. And again, people should be mindful. This is not red versus blue. This is if people need to put food on the table for their family, what are they gonna do? What would you do if you had to?
I've always been on a very big proponent. I think that basic necessities should be tax deductible.
I think that anything we can do to help the poor and middle class. And listen, I get when people want to make the argument that you want to provide the carrot, you know, not just, you know, a safety net, quote unquote, that people can just land in easy and just stay there. I get it. But I think that if you really search your heart and think about the people in your life that you know who may fall into this area, these are all hardworking, good people, you know? So it's fine if you want to make it more of a carrot thing and try to give them more tax deductions, make education easier for them and their family to get, particularly, you know, secondary education. All the different things you want to do. I get it if you want to still make it a carrot and not too easy to just fall into and stay there. But we have to. Like it's insane that we're having the conversation that the wealthy are going to leave if we don't give them even more breaks. Like it's come on, like, we're telling poor people that they need to be patriotic and do their part, but wealthy people can throw a tantrum if they're not gonna get the lowest taxes in the world and say that they're gonna go to another country, but we don't ever talk about their patriotism, like, that's insane to me.
Next topic.
Yes, sir.
All right. Trump's 25 deportation plans divide opinions.
What is your thoughts? I'd
Um,
like you to lead on this.
I will. Would you support mass deportation or a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants?
So, you know what? Hold on.
All right.
I'm gonna give you a buffer here. I wanna see
Yeah.
how well I know my friend Sean.
All right. Let's see.
I think because you're such a reasonable individual that while you agree with, let's say, 75 to 85% of the deportations.
Correct.
That people that have been here for an extended period of time, let's say it's greater than 10 years, don't have a criminal history, have been good members of their community, working, doing their part, they should be provided a pathway to citizenship.
I'll do you one better.
Okay.
I wouldn't put a time limit on it.
Okay.
I would say if they are here contributing to society in a positive way, no criminal record, they should have the opportunity for a pathway to citizenship.
I like it.
You don't have to put a time limit on it.
My only beef with the whole thing that's kind of funny,
But
right?
but
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
there's no other country in the world
Mhm.
that wouldn't do the exact same
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
If you're in the country illegally, you're going to either be deported or you're going to be imprisoned.
And if you actually pay
And
attention to the news, there's a lot more countries that are grappling with this right now. And it's been even eye-opening for me. I consider myself very middle of the road and reasonable about it. But I'm even surprised if you pay attention to international news, a lot of countries are having a lot of issues, and you're going to see the same sorts of things rolling out there. And again,
well,
none of this is negatively intentioned. It's about
we
protecting culture and making sure that
we
we're safe.
can't have we cannot have that open border policy. Cannot do it
Absolutely.
because we have to vet the people that are coming into the United States and just make sure that they're not coming here for the wrong reasons.
And
Um,
this would be a
so
question I would have for you.
yeah,
And again, I think that we're going to have agreement on this as well. Um, so when you say that people need to come here the right way, I think you would agree that we have purposely made it very vague how people get here because both sides are benefiting from it. So if
sure,
you are a pretty wealthy person who has a whole bunch of help, whether you have a very large property and you're employing a team of gardeners and you have a nanny and you have this and you have that, you're benefiting from this very cheap labor. And also, if you're more of a blue collar person that maybe more often than not votes for Democrats, but you're the typical contractor that is pulling up to Home Depot and looking for a crowd of people and saying, "Hey, I need a couple of good workers for today, and I'm willing to pay you this, but I've got slim margins." And so I think that both sides have benefited from keeping it the way that it has been for a long time. But I will let you know that, well, I think you would see that. I agree with you that that time is far past, and the damage that that type of policy from both sides has really hurt us. And the fact that a crackdown was going to happen no matter who decided to finally be the one to take the bullet, and it needed to happen. And I'll cede that point.
yeah, I'm with you on that, and I don't think it's fair that somebody that is not a U.S. citizen can vote in an election.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's horrible.
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
Like no voter ID. I mean, you kidding me? This is ludicrous to me.
Yeah.
Like, no, if you're not a U.S. citizen, you don't have a say in our elections. Like, that's just how I feel. I mean, don't no. And I can't stand the the one thing I can't stand is the states that are okay with it. And they're just like, no, if you can show up to the if you can show up, you can vote. No, that's not how that's not how it's intended. Um, when you cross the border illegally, unfortunately, it is a crime.
Mhm.
There's repercussions for crime, just like there's repercussions for any crime that you commit. Um, I do feel bad for a lot of the people that are trying to escape tyranny, and I feel bad for the people that have been here for a long time. They have families. They've paid into the Social Security.
Absolutely.
They pay their
And that's
taxes.
good that you're saying that because most people don't realize that they pay into those things and they never
Yes,
receive it.
exactly. And I think that they should have the opportunity
Mhm.
to for a pathway to citizenship with full vetting
Sure.
is my caveat.
Yeah. And now, one of the other things I know that you and I had talked about this. So again, I'll give it to you. I will not argue. Listen, Trump ran on this. He was elected on it. So the idea that he was going to do mass deportation should not surprise anybody. And elections have consequences, and so you have to accept that. But certainly some of their tactics have been a little crazy.
Well, allegedly.
Yeah, no,
That's coming from mainstream media. You don't know.
yeah, no, it's pretty well documented. Let's keep it simple. I could go to specific instances. I don't even want to do that. I don't think it's even that helpful. I think, can we agree that the idea that any law enforcement needs to be masked is insane?
Um, yes and no, because they do get targeted by the cartel.
I get it, man, but just
They're protecting their identity for retaliation
well,
more than anything.
really though, really, you think the majority of the situations that like, have you watched some of these situations where they have like really been overly aggressive? And what's interesting
Well,
is that you'll have a group of them, and there will be a couple that do not have face coverings on. And you know what's interesting? Those ones that don't have face coverings on are the ones acting pretty professional. It's interesting that once you are behind a face covering, it just seems really dangerous to me. That's all I'll say. That's one of my biggest beeps. I get that it's very difficult. I get that there could be all sorts of ramifications. And as a tax-paying citizen here, I would say that if you're one of these people and you are going around and doing this job and you are targeted or any danger befalls your family, I'm fine with spending taxpayer money to put you up and change identities and do whatever we got to do to keep you and your family safe. But I will tell you that the face coverings, man, is that a slippery slope. That if I'm just saying, man, if Biden had enhanced any organization, whether it be ICE, FBI, any organization, and they're going around in masks, I just think people would be crazy right now. Just my personal opinion.
yeah, I don't necessarily have an opinion, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's for their identity protection, and if they feel compelled to protect their identity, as long as they're not acting out of hand completely, then that's to their own. I mean, I don't have an opinion on that one.
fair enough. Yeah.
Um, all right. So social media censorship.
Now, just to put it out there, Rip, this will be the last one. I know we have several left, but we're a little over an hour, and I've been trying to cut these to get them on TikTok as well to make sure we're getting out there to as many people as possible. So,
Sure. So let's do one more. We'll do this social media censorship.
sounds good.
Um, so should platforms censor harmful posts or allow all speech?
So this is something that I have come around on during COVID. Now you have to remember, during COVID, I was working for a physician's office. I was the manager there. I had to be the person that was relaying information to our patients. And I can tell you it got very difficult because of a lot of quote unquote misinformation. However, in subsequent years, we have found that some of that is not misinformation, right? So that's the difficulty. So I have come around, as difficult as it is for me to admit, that the less censorship, and I would even go so far as to say as no censorship, the better.
I'm actually complete agreement with no censorship. The reason is because for me, it's who's censoring it and what are their beliefs and how is that going to affect
Yeah.
what gets out there.
And the irony right now, right, is I think we've seen kind of a clamp down by the Trump administration in some ways, trying to influence strongly, different media outlets to part with different commentators and whatnot that they don't like. And they have been using the assassination of Charlie Kirk as some of the impetus for that. And what's interesting is that I was not somebody who watched a ton of Charlie Kirk. I had certainly come across some of his stuff in my reels. Some of his stuff I thought were really good points and really interesting the way he argued it. Some of his other thoughts, I was like, but whatever. I respected what he did in terms of being somebody that wanted to get onto college campuses and just encourage dialogue and just say, hey man, you've got an opinion. Let's test our opinions. Let's see.
Exactly. Let's battle
And I really
wits.
respected
Let's
it. There's some arguments he
yeah.
made where I was like really impressed. But the irony here is that they're kind of using his assassination as a way to try and clamp down on free speech. And they even, I heard Pam Bondi, and I know a lot of conservatives came down on her for this, saying something about hate speech. And Charlie Kirk, you can find numerous things where he would say there is no such thing as hate speech. Speech in and of itself is speech, and all of it is protected, period, the end.
So for me, I don't care left, right. I don't care what your political beliefs are. I don't care what your opinion is. Nobody should be celebrating the death of an American citizen
Absolutely.
ever,
No,
ever.
and I agree with you. And that I talked to you, I want to say that day, you know.
Yeah,
I think what we have to be careful of, I know we've talked about this previously, is the social media algorithms, right? Because
yeah.
in talking to my conservative friends, they'll be like, "Oh my God, all these people are celebrating." Sure, you're going to find a lot of people that did, but you have to remember, if you're conservative, your algorithm is going to push that stuff to you because it wants to get you enraged. And then I think this is also where you have to be really careful and extend an olive branch out there to people. There are people that, to them, Charlie Kirk represented something adversarial to them, for lack of a better word. So, particularly in the LGBTQ community, which it seems like his shooter was part of and grew up in a very right wing household and probably had a lot of internal conflicts. Where that all comes out, we'll see. But certainly it's been said that he was having a relationship with his roommate who was transitioning from a man to a woman, if I'm not mistaken. And so this kid probably has a lot of issues internally with what's going on with him. And so I think that I'm not, so let me just be clear, I'm not giving any reason why it was okay or anything. It was awful, period, the end. Just trying to play it out in my head how we got there. And so when we go back to why people are celebrating and trying to parse that out, I'm not saying it's ever okay. But I think when we go back and look at our society and we're talking about how fractured we are, people are doing a lot of crazy stuff right now. Now, we can put it all back to economics and how economically, when people are doing good economically, it's funny how many things we can overlook. But we're seeing the worst come out of humanity because we're so strapped right now. And so I think this is just another sign of that underlying problem. And that doesn't make it okay. But I think that if we're people that want to try to bring people together, we need to at least say, okay, there's this community that's extremely hurt. And while they may feel hurt because this person had an ideology that maybe they felt marginalized them or whatever, the fact that they are hurt to the point that they're celebrating somebody's death, we need to reel these people back in. And you don't
Yeah,
reel,
that can't happen.
well, yeah, and you don't reel people back in like through force. I think we need to start understanding, why are people so far out there that that's where we are. And again, a lot of the people that I like to listen to, it comes down to economics more than anything. If these people felt good about their career prospects and the fact that they could live whatever life, whether it's a homosexual life, a trans life, whatever, and they could just go about their business and do their thing, that it wouldn't even matter to them. But
I think the main point though is,
Mhm.
if you don't like someone's opinion and they're not actually affecting you,
Yes,
like physically affecting you, stop listening.
dude, and that's a beautiful point too, because that's been one of the things that's bothered me so much about all of this. Whether you talk about the people that were saying disgusting things about his death and celebrating it, right? Like if this person was, so triggering and had such an emotional toll on you, stop watching them. Same thing
Exactly.
in the post scenario, right? Where you've got like the Jimmy Kimmel thing with Trump. Like again, you don't need to use the weight of the government to come down on him. If people don't like his conduct or don't like something he says, they're going to stop watching him. Those financials will compel that company to move on. And that's the beautiful thing about our system of capitalism.
Case in point, just think about Cracker Barrel.
Absolutely, yeah. With them wanting to change the logo.
When they changed the logo and the theme of the
Right,
restaurant, and they lost hundreds of millions of dollars worth of
right.
stocks or stock value in like 24 hours, and then they were like, "Wait a second,
Yeah.
we can't
Yeah,
do
and
this."
ironically, with the Jimmy Kimmel situation, right? Like Trump and his FCC chairman put a whole bunch of pressure on the broadcast company to try to get him off the air, and it was actually people canceling in mass that compelled them to swing back the other way and put him on the air. But I don't think a lot of people realize is that, yeah, we've got a lot of issues, not going to lie about that. And we've got to try to find our way back. And it's got to start at the community level, which is what Sean and I are trying to do. But one of the things that gets lost is that your dollars are part of your voice. And so in a capitalistic society, you have a lot of ability to shape things with your dollars. And don't take that for granted. And so the Jimmy Kimmel
That's literally your voting power
right now,
on.
yeah, they're really the
It's your
voting
voting
power.
power is where you spend your money.
And that's a perfect
Um,
example is the Jimmy Kimmel thing. But getting away from Jimmy Kimmel again with the Charlie Kirk thing, I agree with you so much. Like it hurt my heart because when I talked to you immediately afterwards, I was like, dude, this is awful. This is so awful. But when you see people celebrating, and I'm not trying to do a um whataboutism.
you're not.
That's what I was looking
Yeah,
for.
yeah, I know what you're.
Yeah. So like when we go back to the Minnesota lawmakers that were murdered, that hit me really hard as a more liberal person because these were people. This guy had a list of liberals in the government that he wanted to kill, and he was able to kill two of them and shoot two more of them a lot, like quite a few times, and they managed to pull through. And so that hit me hard, and this is several months before Charlie Kirk. And it was just kind of crickets, like Trump didn't want to raise flags or anything, and that kind of hit me. So I'm not saying that it's the same, but I'm trying to have a human connection with people that felt the way that they did about Charlie Kirk. And again, I didn't know the Hortmans, which was the name of the Democratic couple that got killed in Minnesota. I just knew that party wise we were affiliated, and the idea that somebody hunted them because of that was really crazy to me. And then when the president of the United States, kind of said, "Oh, I'm not going to call that crazy governor," and was very dismissive of the whole thing. That was like, oh my God, and then you see this crescendo to the Charlie Kirk thing. And these things are all related, like political violence is political violence. Yes, you might see it from this side in this particular instance, this side in another instance, but it's all a symptom of our society fracturing. And it's not going to be contained to one side or the other. We all need to start bridging this right now. This is just not healthy where we are. And nobody should be celebrating or feel comfortable with like finding out like, oh, it wasn't my side, or oh, thank God it wasn't my side. At least now we can, first of all, it's like, oh, we got to do damage control. So, like this is crazy. Like this, when an awful thing happens, we all need to feel awful about it. We're all human beings. Nobody deserves to be murdered.
No, exactly.
Period.
So
In particular, the saddest part about the whole thing is he was doing like the most American of things at that particular time. You may
yeah,
have
he was.
disagreed vehemently with a lot of his opinions, but the fact that he would go into what is historically a difficult place for conservative people in college campuses and challenge these young people and say, okay, you have these ideas, let's parse it out, let's talk about it. Like, if you have any negative feelings about him doing that, you're out of your mind. Like,
Correct.
we should all, that's the whole idea is that's how you challenge your ideas and try to think like, okay, is my idea good? And then if it's not perfectly shaped, this other person has these really good ideas. Let me get challenged and let's find a better way. Maybe I'm missing something. That's how we get the best ideas, right? Iron sharpens iron.
Well, we are, I'm sure, way
We're at
over
an hour and
on
15
time.
minutes, man. We're going to have a problem here. We could probably do
Yeah,
3 hours every week.
we could probably, yeah, let's not do that
No.
because ain't no one got time for that. Ain't no one gonna start listening to us.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to say for everyone that's made it this far, thank you for watching. Remember to like and share our YouTube, now on TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
and also
And
Spotify,
Apple
iTunes. If
Podcasts.
you,
Yeah.
yep, exactly. So,
And please, contribute
um,
to the conversation. I hope that anybody who
we love hearing the
we
comments.
do,
We love seeing the
and we
comments.
want more of them.
Absolute.
We want to engage more.
That makes our day to see
It
comments.
does. And in particular, we obviously parsed out some difficult topics here. Hopefully, you respect the dialogue that we had, and please contribute to it because, again, these are difficult topics, particularly the Charlie Kirk
This is what
issue.
we're living with, though.
It
We're
is,
living with this in the United States right
and
now.
we want to encourage
We want to
conversation.
build that. We want to encourage that conversation, build stronger community because of the conversation. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're
Yeah.
on. We can find that common ground. Be courteous to your neighbors during this Halloween. Watch out for the kids.
Yeah.
Be
Be a
safe.
community. Be a community, man.
Yep. If I had to rate this show, I'd say 5 candy corns out of 5.
Hell yeah.
So thumbs up everywhere.
Diabetes all around.
Diabetes. No, we got Ozempic for that. We're good.
We do.
We do have Ozempic for
Any
that.
final thoughts? Rip?
I don't have any final thoughts tonight. And usually I would say I do, but what do you have any final thoughts?
No, I just, genuinely, man, I frequently take time to try and put good vibes out into the world and just kind of ask the universe to help people find their way and to want to be better to one another. And that's all I really want.
Yeah, gotta be kind to your neighbors, especially. My only advice to everybody is if you disagree with somebody, stop listening. Like,
Crazy idea? Like the
crazy.
idea that we should be going on.
Don't let it affect you. Move on with your
But
day.
it is so un-American for any of us to try to go around shutting people up. The most American of things is allowing people to use their voice. And if there are people that want to have a conversation with them, whether it be on a college campus or if it's people that want to tune into Jimmy Kimmel, let them do that thing. If Charlie Kirk, or rest his soul, if he was still alive though, and he was showing up in college campuses and nobody wanted to show up, that would sort itself out. But a lot of people wanted to show up, so people wanted it. Same thing with Jimmy Kimmel, like they talked about him coming off air and then people were like, we're going to cancel our subscriptions. So let people hear the people they want to hear. And if you don't like it or you don't want to attend, don't do it. And that's okay. People can put their voice out there. And for people that want to engage, they can. And others that don't want to, they don't have to. We don't have to go around canceling one another.
Do you have any good theme music to go out on? This is Captain Shawnee saying thank you for listening, and you guys have a great night.
Hell yeah. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween.